This is a plaster cast of my face I took years ago, and it's showing the mouth here. The nose is casting a shadow where the light can't get under there, and the mouth is also casting its own shadow with the upper lip, and then the lower lip is casting a shadow down towards the chin. So this three-dimensional model might help us to understand how the drawing of lips and mouth is done a little bit easier. In drawing the mouth, it's easiest to think about the lips as two separate shapes. The upper shape and then the lower shape. But as you see in a photograph or in life, we don't generally have a very dark outline around it. There might be a slight color change between a pinkish color and the surrounding cheeks and chin color. But if we draw all of this, it tends to get a little bit exaggerated. So we're going to simplify all of this and really study mostly the line, the darkest line that is between the two upper and lower lips here. So we got this shape. If it's straight across, you would draw it straight across. This one's got a little bit of a up, down, up, and down, kind of like a very flattened letter M. So I'm going to think about that, as well as where is the extreme points of the mouth. The farthest point on this side, if I go up towards the eyes, it's kind of lined up with this iris in this picture, and this one similarly, if not even the pupil, because this face is not exactly square to us, it's kind of diagonal. But generally speaking, it's kind of up towards the iris and maybe even the pupil. It's definitely wider than the nose is, and it's if you looked at the bottom of the nose to the chin, the center way mark is right around where the lower lip is. So in the middle of the mouth, we've got this dark line that is the darkest of the shading we have on there. The color of the lip is not that much different than the surrounding skin. So we don't want to exaggerate the outline of it as much as we do want to just shade it in using one of these blending tools, or if you've got little fingers, maybe you can smudge with that, and then also use your eraser to remove any extra smudging so it doesn't look like you've been drinking chocolate milk too much or something like that. This has got this dark line, and it's going up, down, up, down. Your face might not have these bumps. Maybe it's straighter, or maybe it's even more up and more down. So that's the first thing you want to consider, is what is this line looking like? Now I'm going to copy that line in the middle that I noticed, and I think it looks something like this. A little bit up, a little bit down, and then back down again. Kind of this M shape that's very squished. And then, using this for pretty much the remainder of this picture, I'm going to use this to paint in what I see as this top shape. So it's very similar to the line of the lip, and by using this blending, I'm just using a gray tone. I'm not using a black outline. I'm just painting it with the pencil graphite, and it gets very narrow there and very narrow here. I've added a little bit too much there, but I can erase that part in a little bit. And then I see also a darker line right at the bottom of there where the cast shadow would be for that lower lip. So I'm going to draw what I think that position would be, and in that shape it goes a little bit back up to the corners. And then I'm going to add a little bit of shading down where the cast shadow is from that opening. Okay, it kind of disappears. The color is hard to differentiate from this part of the mouth or the cheek and the lip here. So it kind of is like an open gate right there and there. And since I've added too much, I'm going to go in here and erase a little bit where that space would be, there and there. And since there is a little teeny bit of a darkness that I can't get with the blender, at the bottom I'm going to add a slight bit of a line right there and smooth that out a bit with that. As I mentioned before, the top here gets very pointed, so I'm going to use the eraser to redraw these lines, or these edges I should say. They're not really lines at all, they're just shapes. And you can modify and change all these shapes easily with the eraser and kind of sculpt it in a way. If you need a little bit more, you can add more. If you need less, you can simply just erase it. But the only really dark lines I added on this whole picture, firstly, is this opening. And again, how wide is it? If I went up, it would go towards the eyes. And then this little bit here, the nose would be somewhere around here, the chin somewhere around there. Let me show you some other examples of some shapes you might see on your face. So there's this very steep sloped mouth, and it goes up, across, and back down again. So that's one thing you might notice if you've got a mouth that looks a little bit with that. And then you would take this, paint in, so even though it's not paint, I call it painting because it's kind of like a paintbrush almost, this thing. And then you can shape the top lip the way that you think it looks. There might even be corner little divots where your cheeks might surround the lip opening and create another little shadow here. And then under here, that dark cast shadow, and it would surround this part here. And depending on how dark your lips are compared to your surrounding skin, you might need more or less of the shading. If you wanted less, you can go in here and erase some of this. If you need more, you can always just add more pencil or blending. But the only really darkness I added in this example was the opening line here. If you needed a little extra there, you could do that too. So this mouth has got that sort of more pronounced up and down shape. Another mouth you might see is maybe just very flat, almost side to side. I will add a little corners there. Again, maybe the cheeks are coming into that space. So you kind of smooth this out, go up a little bit. This one to make a little thinner, smaller lips, and there's going to still be the under cast shadow under that lip there. So this might be something you see on your face. Depends on your individual photograph and your individual person, because everybody's got a different mouth shape, just like everybody has different nose shapes, different eye shapes, and everything else. So here's two more examples. Hope this helps.